Welcome,
Yeah.
welcome everyone. This is a special whale feature that we're going to call Down the Rabbit Hole, Artist to Artist. It's a candid conversation between established NFT artists and traditional artists thinking of coming into the space. We can start with we have so many artists that the backstage is full right now, so bear with us as the stage kind of shifts and changes. But I'd like to start off with some basic intros because just for time constraints, we can jump right into it. We're going to go from left to right. Reinhard is first. Welcome, friend. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you for having me. Okay, so, well, Reinhard is actually my real name, Reinhard Schmidt, and I've been traditional artist for more than 30 years. And I've been using a computer with my work since the mid-1990s. And I got into the crypto space in 2017. I followed a link a friend posted, and I got into a cryptocurrency-based network called Steam at the time. And that's where I learned most of the things I know about the space today. And I also found links, taking me further. From there, I discovered Maker's Place. I was one of the first artists there. And so one thing led to another. So now I'm here.
Awesome. Welcome. Good to have you. Sturec, how are you? How you feeling? Tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Seda. Actually, what everybody calls me Sturec, so it's fine.
Sturec,
I'm sorry,
kind of
my dog.
It's okay. It's okay.
So my name is Sturec. I'm an illustrator and I make generative art. Actually, I used to make traditional art, but I don't involve it in crypto art. I don't know why, because I just moved to generative art more. So I entered the space, like I started making crypto art back in 2019 with, actually, I found super rare from depths.com or something. And now I'm just like making art on several platforms.
Awesome.
So that's me.
Thank you for joining us. Again, so you and Reinhard are what you would call now NFT artists, and so Yiying Lu, you're kind of all over the place. Tell us something about your journey.
Indeed. So glad to be here. It's always fun to come back and see all the artists. So my name is Yiying Lu. I've been sort of in between the traditional and the NFT land. So my sort of career started in around 2007 and 8 when I created this whale. And then later on, this teeny little startup you might know called Twitter. And it was using every single time when Twitter went down. So it became the Twitter fail whale. That was done in traditional sort of digital art. But I really sort of got into NFT or blockchain and art in 2018 when my friend Miko recommended me to go to this Ethereum summit. And we auctioned the art pieces with CryptoKitty and lots of other amazing artists. And that was the time that I discovered the power of blockchain technology and art can generate a lot more value. I sort of really dive into NFT land since last year. And my very first job was on Nifty Gateway, which is suggested by Whale Shark, because I created a piece of work of the whale shark, the actual whale shark art piece. And that's how I really got into the whale community. So I'm so glad to be here, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate having your depth of knowledge here on this panel. There's always something to learn. George Boya, how are you, friend?
I'm fine. I'm here to take over Skeenee. My name is George Boya, and I'm a collage artist. I started as a traditional collage artist with glue and scissors and stuff 17 years ago. And back at 2017, like Reinhard, I saw an ad about this blockchain blogging site, Steemit. and joined the crypto world. I didn't know anything about Bitcoin back then, nothing at all. I just like the idea of presenting my artworks and getting some money out of it, cutting the middleman, those concepts that were very exciting back then. And I continued there for about 2 years, 2.5, and 1 year ago I found out through this platform about NFTs, and I jumped in head on. I also changed my artwork, trying to do more digital stuff. More like animating the previous hand-cut creations, and later a bit inspired by the whole scene and how the blockchain works. I try to create new concepts and stuff. That's more or less.
Dope. We're always learning here, and it's so good to see people kind of expand. Once they get into the space, now you're like, okay, well, I guess I should learn how this works. So we all learn every single day here.
It is very inspiring, I think, for an artist to work and try to understand a bit the mechanics and adapt to the new technology. I don't know. There are ideas. It's not only about the money and stuff. There is a philosophy that you can embrace and do.
Do. There is no try, just do. I think we might have skipped over while we were shuffling people around. I don't want to mispronounce your name, but I'm gonna go with Carguin.
Sure. Hello. Hi, everybody. I haven't met new people in such a long time, so this is awesome, and it's also great that I feel like you guys are from all over, and I think that's kind of the beauty of the NFT community. I am a concept artist. I work in the entertainment industry. I work pretty much strictly digitally since school. I remember I really liked oil painting back in art school, but every time we do an oil painting, my teacher will say, make sure you wear gloves, make sure all the toxic waste are dumped into this really scary canister, like everybody, and then you wash brushes with chemicals. In order to clean the chemicals, you have to use more chemicals. So I just remember, like, at that year, I was like, I love you, oil paint, but I want to work digitally. And so, but in the digital world, I felt like for a long time, we just felt like the work is done in digital and will never be valued the same way as traditional. It doesn't have the same sort of like perpetuity that the physical medium has. And so that's why I'm kind of interested in the NFT community and it as a medium. And LK is a longtime friend of mine, and she introduced me to space. So grateful to be here and thankful for this opportunity to meet all of you. And I actually work with Yuki, and so I brought her here with me. So yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Thank you for joining. And it's an honor to be among the few first people that you've met in a really long time.
Thanks for having me.
No, anytime. Skeenee, we see you moving now, so things must have gotten better.
Yeah, I'm back.
Thank you, Carguin. Skeenee, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, so I'm a tattoo artist and an animator, and I've been recruited by Maker's Place to be part of the first artist on the platform in early 2019. And well, I'm best known for my skull work, I suppose, and burning stuff as well. And yeah, no, I'm super happy to be amongst on this panel with all of you guys. I'm making it short,
awesome.
man. before my connection
No.
fucks up again.
Thank you, man. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate it. You're here with a bad connection. I really appreciate it. Legendary, how are you? Tell us a little about yourself.
I'm great. Thank you for having me. So, before I got into the NFT space, I was actually a digital photographer and been a photographer for more than 10 years, mostly working on composite artworks for my own photography. I got into crypto in about end of 2016, but it took me a couple of years to then discover the NFT space and realize that there is art on the blockchain, so to say. So I got into NFTs about 1.5 years ago. And for me, it really became obvious that I wanted to do something else and didn't want to bring my photography into the NFT world and kind of fully, leverage the digital canvases, and hence gravitated to 3D art, which was a totally new skill for me, even though I could still apply, of course, principles of traditional photography, composition and lighting, etc. But this is how I basically got my fresh artistic start into NFTs and NFT art 1.5 years ago.
Amazing trajectory. Thank you for coming through and sharing your knowledge with us. You have to let me know what microphone you have because it sounds really good. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Now we have Yuki. How are you? Welcome.
Nice to meet you all. My name is Yuki, and I'm actually coming from traditional art as well, same as some of you. I am absolute newbie for when it comes to NFT and crypto art. I still don't know how it works exactly. Professionally, I'm a 3D artist, and I work with Carguin at the entertainment industry. And I've been doing this for about 20 years. And then I got curious about NFT and then how it goes to show more art.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. You all bring definitely a wealth of information. That's a long time in the industry, and it's good to see you in the space. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Arsenic Lullaby. Welcome, friend. How you feeling?
How you doing?
We're good. We're good.
All right. My foundation is in comic book illustration. I've done work for Mad Magazine and The Tick and Image Comics, and my own independently published book, Arsenic Lullaby, does fairly well, I'd say. And I've done work for Comedy Central. And so I have a real traditional kind of background in the illustrations and even the way I animate. And I was on Steemit also with Reinhard and George, mostly to flee from Facebook. And I got on that, and there's a real nice community there, and they were talking about NFTs. I think it might even been George that brought it up. So this is his fault that I'm here. And it's just I found it at first sort of like, what are you talking about? What you put this digital thing in someone's guy? I don't have time for this newfangled bullshit. And then I started seeing like just fascinating pieces and seeing all the possibilities of what you can do when something isn't just static. So to me, just the amount of creativity and the tools that are available, and just it's a completely different language now, because working traditionally, you understand how to frame a composition, and there's certain ways to lead the eye around a composition. And all that's different once things can be animated and the composition can move constantly. So just to me, it's just fascinating.
I agree. Thank you so much, George. Thank you so much, George, for influencing Arsenic to come and join this space.
Get me up at this god-awful hour, George. Thank you very much.
So it definitely seems like a Steven. Steven was definitely a huge influence. I remember I was on there, if you want to say back in the day, because it had that spark of we're all leaving Facebook for this thing, and it was definitely a good time, and a lot of things sprung out of that, which is the most beautiful part. All right, so this conversation, now that we've all introduced each other, I believe, it's mostly for educational purposes, for those listening later on the recording, of traditional artists kind of getting their feet wet and understanding what the NFT space is and what it can offer them, were they to join and kind of join the revolution if you must. So I don't know if some of you have some questions written down already, but maybe we can small icebreaker to Carguin would be, what attracted you to the NFT space in general, and then if you have a question that you can kind of segue from that, you can go ahead.
For sure. I definitely have questions. But NFT space, kind of like I said earlier, I felt that like pretty early on in my artistic pursuit that I determined I would be working in games. And shameless plug, we have a game coming out in July.
Yes, get those plugs in, baby.
Plug it.
We've been working on it for a couple of years. But yeah, like it's just like the work is oftentimes NDA protected in entertainment, right? And also like the work digitally, generally it's easily duplicated, so it's so easy to distribute and people make copies. It's just that rarity of what art is. It didn't traditionally exist in the digital medium. So what attracts me to NFT is that the ability to say there's only one of this, and to then kind of give a different definition to art, and now it's like even time and place can be involved. It's just like this one-time event. How do we kind of capture that? And that in itself can be NFT. To me, that's also kind of fascinating. So that's what interested me into the space. But also earlier I mentioned the chemical stuff with oil. And so the environment concerns are important to me. So there's that. With the NFT kind of technology currently is the energy consumption. So I'm kind of like, I have two questions. One is like, what are you guys' views on the environment impact on an NFT? Do you guys think it is the time to still jump in because maybe the technology will get better, or should artists kind of wait? For you guys to kind of like wait till the technology is more sustainable. What are you guys' knowledge on it? And second is like kind of like, I don't know if there's any collector as well here, but kind of like how's collecting NFT different from traditional art for you guys? And how is making traditional art different than digital collectables for you guys as well? So, sorry, I have to. I'm greedy.
No. That's a great way to kind of kick off the conversation with the harder questions. There's a lot of us here that aren't necessarily too like tech savvy when it comes to NFTs. Most of the people on this panel are straight up artists, right? That might not know the answer to some of those questions. But I mean, all what we can see, my crack at it would be what we can see from what the smarter people are posting is that there's solutions coming to the environmental kind of questions behind NFTs. And also that one of the more just about the NFT in general, that just because Ethereum is already running anyway, that the creation of a new NFT isn't going to raise the impact since the Ethereum is going to Ethereum anyway. I don't know if anyone wants to take a crack at if that question has been posed to them from one of their other peers. Then tell us your experience.
I think I can slam the lid on that one fairly easy. There's an environmental impact when you compare it to nothing. You know, just by itself, there's some environmental impact. But let's say a comic book. You know, if I publish a comic book, I think the last one I did, we're talking about over a ton of paper. That's a ton of pulp paper, not to mention the ink, the glue. Then you have an industrial printing press running for 8 to 10 hours. Then the boxes have to be made, things have to be packed, there's logistics, things have to be shipped to a distributor. The distributor has to ship it to stores. People have to drive to those stores. And then in between all of that is still the electronic impact of people using credit cards, and Capital One has to have all its office branches open. Its corporate office has to be open. People have to drive to those places. I mean, it's just night and day to say that, well, because X amount of computers are running, this is damaging the environment, compared to even fine art. You still have the logistics that has to be shipped to an art gallery that has the lights on, that have people going to it. There's electronic cash transactions going on. It's just, an NFT is much cleaner once you compare it to the alternatives.
There you go. That's there's always that comparison that can be made. But if we're moving towards things that are cleaner, regardless, I'm down. I'm down for that, right? I mean, who cannot be down for having a cleaner environment? So, excellent question. You had a second question about collectors. Do you want to repeat that, please?
Yes. How's kind of collecting NFTs different than how it works for traditional art? Kind of like what motivates them to purchase a piece, or if there's anybody. I know a lot of you guys make the art. I don't know if you guys will buy them. So how much of it is driven by people's appreciation of piece, and how much of it is like, oh, how likely is this going to appreciate? So how does that kind of motivate you guys differently, traditionally versus NFT? Sorry, there's a really loud noise. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Arsenic, you want to? I think it might be your mic. No, it's not. Or maybe Reinhard. Yeah, Reinhard.
There
okay, so
I don't know. Did you guys hear me earlier?
Yeah, we heard you.
Yeah.
But now even better. Cool, Reinhard. So when you're not speaking, if you could just keep it muted, that'll make the recording a little bit clearer. I appreciate you. Thank you. Do we have any collectors amongst us that want to tackle that question of why NFTs?
I'm gonna take on this because I actually do collect quite a bit and started to collect more the more I started to get my own art out in the NFT space. And to be perfectly frank, I did collect traditional art before, and the initial motivation always was to collect something I like or that I can connect to, just like in traditional art. But with all the crazy appreciations in price we've seen, I would be lying if I'd say I didn't buy some of the pieces I bought just because I thought that they will appreciate in price. But still, the main motivation is the personal connection to the artwork. And if there's both, so if I think it's an artwork that could really appreciate and it's something I really like, then I often end up, to say I buy 2, 3, 4 or more editions, one to keep, one to sell a bit later, maybe want to keep 2 or 3 of them. So I think for me, the main difference as a collector also was that the NFT market is perfectly transparent. You can see the entire history of someone's art. You can see the story, the narrative that they've been telling from the get-go. And it allows you to connect on a more profound level to the art that they get out. So, and it's also easier to collect things because you don't have the logistics. So often I find myself, scrolling through endless artworks and liking them and, realizing that I can simply not collect all of them. So it made the process of collecting also more enjoyable for me.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Also, from myself as a collector, maybe not so much as art, but just NFTs in general. Carguin, you mentioned something, earlier about the physical always has that thing that like people want. People want to have that thing. I think we're seeing that now with NFTs. People feel really, really attached to their NFTs, mostly because of, I think, the memory that it's a recorded time that it's always there. When you think about it, you can map it to an event, to a person itself, to a moment in time, and we feel attached to that thing. When you hit mint, first of all, you pay you pay to mint, so it already hurts, or that's a feeling, and then it records it on chain of a specific time, and boom, that I think that's getting stronger than what they say, the scent of smell, how much memories that can conjure up. NFTs are quickly replacing that for a flood of memories instantaneously. So that's what I feel when I collect NFTs.
I think that's a really excellent point. That might be the point, actually. It's the connection that your work makes with a collector or someone who isn't a collector yet. I mean, that's art, that's music, that's comedy. If your piece has a voice, unique to you, and it makes a connection with somebody, they'll want to own it. There's a collector mentality. Some people have it, some people don't. But the goal, whether you're speaking to a collector or not, is for your work to make a connection to somebody somehow, whether it's emotional or you're telling a story or whatever. That you'll live and die by the connection that your work makes with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I can add something, I think it's much easier to make connection with NFTs because we're all on Twitter and you can talk directly to the artist or to the collector. And I've forged much stronger relationship with artists and with collectors that way. That means they buy more of your work, and I don't know, they feel closer basically. I used to sell my art in art galleries and tattoo shop, and the connection was almost inexistent. People buy your art and fuck off. But with NFT, you forge long-term connections. Oops.
Yiying.
Yes.
Can I add something? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
Okay. I really resonate with everybody saying. I think one of the really magical thing about being able to have your art, put it on a blockchain, and that instant relationship that's being created, it's person to person. And the art itself is no longer just an artifact. In fact, there is no artifact. It's in the ether. And what's really amazing is that you have this almost like, it's no longer just transactional. It's actually relational. A lot of times people actually ask you questions and they want to know more about your story, your personal story. They actually care about your well-being. And that holistic approach of collector and artist relationship is transcending to just like a material gain. And in the same time, you have the provenance because it's minted on the chain. You can see the artist created from nothing and then transfer it to the collector. That transaction is transparent. Everybody could see it. And that's actually quite meaningful because that's kind of like a validation that we know each other. And that's not something like if you go to a auction house and you bought it off from an auction house, that direct relationship is not really visible unless you watch that video. You're like, oh, you got it from Banksy, and who is Banksy? Have you actually met that person? And you don't have that realistic connection, which I think it's quite profound in a lot of ways.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's a bit counterintuitive, right? Because when I was selling my photography and my photographic work, I obviously had it in galleries. I had it in my online store. 99% of the cases, I would not know who did buy something. And on the blockchain, and where so many people are anonymous or have their pseudonyms, and you would think that there is no connection. It's the complete opposite. I like to connect with the people who collect my artwork, and I get to know them. I find them on Twitter. I find them somewhere else. Get to talk to them to see what attracted them to my work. What story did my work convey for them? And also the other way around, when I put on my collector hat and reach out to the artists and, get to see what they are doing or what the story really is that they are telling and where they're coming from. And that's really the beauty and magic of it.
Peer-to-peer, yes, that's definitely some of the magic involved. Reinhard, I know you wanted to say something?
Well, for me, it's a combination of the things that were said.
Totally agree. I've actually created a lot of
sorry? I think an important aspect is that NFTs are more accessible for a lot of people. With traditional art, when you have it in a gallery, not everybody is comfortable walking into a gallery. A lot of people are intimidated by it, and I'm actually on a mission, to make people less scared of walking into an exhibition. In my experience, it's often deliberate, that you're being intimidated by certain people, and I hate that. And I'm not only an artist; I also help organize exhibitions, and I have always tried to find a setup that makes it comfortable for people to walk in and approach the artist when they're present in all of these things. And for me personally, it's getting better now, but it was a little difficult for me to only communicate with avatars and what is it, usernames, in lack of a better word. I've been working in traditional art for so long that this is very new for me, and I don't have a large I don't produce a lot of paintings. Today I make maybe anywhere between 3 and 6 a year, and so I only paint a small amount of paintings because they all take a lot of time. But on the other hand, I have very strong connections to not all of them, but I would say 85% of the collectors of my traditional work, they've become friends over time, because they don't only buy one painting, they collect those. And I run my own gallery, and meeting these people and actually personally selling these pieces to them, or they come to my studio, they look, oh, what are you working on? Can I reserve this piece? So with my traditional art, I have a very, very strong connection with my collectors. And like I said, in NFT space, it's getting a little better. I'm getting used to the mechanisms and how people interact with each other. But like I said, for me, it's a little bit of both. And the most important aspect in NFT is that people who would normally not buy art, that they're much more comfortable purchasing an NFT than walking into a gallery and buying something there. And then the other thing is, for many, many years, I tried to design a piece of art that people can take with them when they travel. And the past decades, people are traveling much more than they used to, and be it for fun or for business, and maybe they have a favorite piece of art they want to take with them. So I was trying to find a way to make a sculpture that you could unfold when you're in your hotel room or something, and I never found the solution. And now with NFT, you have that perfect solution. You can take your whole collection with you. You're not limited to a room where your originals are displayed. You can have it on your smartwatch, smartphone, tablet, whatever, and you can have it with you wherever you go.
That is true. Thank you so much, Reinhard. Excellent info, insight. Carguin, I hope that answers your question of why NFTs and your environmental concerns, when we're always here to help teach further on either of those subjects. I want to get to Yuki. I'm sure I know you've been waiting to speak for a minute, and then if you have a question, we might let Sturec take a crack at it because we still haven't heard from you much. So Yuki,
Right.
yes, tell us a little bit about what attracted you to the NFT space, and any questions that you might have.
Yeah, everybody's story is already selling me more now. I can relate a lot, and then I understand like how special NFT can be. Yeah, it's sort of like from that previous conversation, but I recently released vinyl toy, and then I can totally relate customer to, I mean, the collector and the artist direct relationship. Yeah, some of the customers who purchased my vinyl toy can send me like through Twitter messages and stuff, like, you know, they can contact me with the photo of the vinyl toy, how they decorated it or like customized it, and then giving me birthday messages and stuff. And then that was really special, like, you know, direct connection. So I can sort of relate how you guys experience like with NFT. And and then my question would be, since most of you already have more experience with this, I was wondering how exclusive your art is when you turn it into crypto. And then the second question would be how, what's the release schedule is like? Like, do you produce something new like monthly, or like do you have your own schedule, or it's just random? That's what I was curious about.
Awesome. Sturec, do you wanna take a crack at that? Tell us how little you sleep.
Actually, mine is a little bit confusing. First of all, I didn't get the first question. Can I have the first question again, like with the summarize, or I can just directly go to the second question?
Oh yeah. So when you create your art, how exclusive is it gonna be? Is it one of a kind when you release something?
You mean like we prefer multiple editions or just one-to-one edition?
Like one-to-one edition. So how does it work for you usually?
Generally, I make one piece, like one edition, but like you have the option to even mint the same piece like 1,000 editions. But I generally prefer one-to-one edition, so it's more exclusive and more special. And I only want one person to own it, actually, just like a painting. But that's my style. Some people prefer like making tons of editions, and I'm totally okay with that. And I also do it too sometimes. But I think one-to-one is always more special. And I think here most of the artists use the same method, right?
Yeah, it makes sense if you it makes sense if you create one painting and then sell it to someone owns it, just one person. Yeah, it makes sense.
Here, I prefer that more than making multiple editions of the same artwork. But you can do that too. It's totally up to you. And when I release work, actually, I don't schedule anything. Because like, I like the freedom to pick my own distribution time and how I work. So sometimes I don't even want to make any art or design anything. So I just like let it go and just take a rest, do something. And maybe after 3 weeks, I start minting, and I just mint like 5 pieces every day. So like, it's totally up to you. You don't have to schedule it, but some people also do it. Like, everybody has their own style. No, I don't think that like collectors are really like, oh, this guy mints 5 pieces a month kind of people. But all I see that if you are a one edition person, most of the collectors don't like seeing tons of minting, like minting every day different stuff, because it's like less unique that way. Like you have to be a little special and a little creating suspicion on what you're gonna create next. I think those are important. So I just take my time and just mint whenever I want. It's my style. Somebody else say something.
No.
That makes sense.
But by the way, I make other stuff, like I code and I do tons of things. So just I'm a little bit confused with this. Olivia, why did you pass me this question?
It sounds like at the end of the day, like you just said, do whatever you want.
Most of the times, like I get pissed at the artwork, so I just throw it away. So like it's gone. So much. I'm really impulsive when I create something. So yeah.
It seems like for the most part, people kind of they start off, they kind of find their own style, because even the minting schedule and the edition amount is also a defining characteristic of you as an artist, because it's almost like a signature. Like, okay, I knew it was going to be a 10 of 10 because it's so and so. And you kind of start, like, if you see one that's 9 of 9, you're like, wait a minute, this must be a fake address, because they usually do a 10 of 10, right? So it's like you start identifying artists that way. So everyone kind of falls into something, and then you see that they kind of will continue with that schedule, whatever it may be, right? But it's all about finding what's comfortable for yourself. Like, I mean, I'm not an artist, but it seems like that's the sentiment that Sturec was kind of alluding to.
Yeah, actually, like NFTs give you the freedom. Actually, that's why I entered the space, and like you can do whatever you want. Just don't abuse the minting system.
That's what I like.
Yeah, but like you can do whatever you want. I know that you guys, maybe most of you guys know Mel Duarte. Like she doesn't mint for like 5 months, and then she starts minting like each 3 days, and nobody says anything about that. Like you're totally free.
Yeah.
Okay, so enough.
Does anyone else want to tackle one of those questions and say what your style is?
Now that my connection is stable. Yeah, I also prefer 1/1s for my big work, basically, but I like my work to be democratic and to allow people to own it. If you only do 1/1, most people can afford it, and I really dislike that thing. So I try to alternate 1/1 and 10/10, so I can give some away to people that can afford it, and people can buy it as well. And that also allows you to build a community around your art and create connection, which is a huge perk of NFT. That's all I wanted to add. And I'm also completely chaotic about my release schedule.
Freedom.
I like that.
Yeah, spontaneity. It's fun.
I mean, if I'm advising somebody who's new and just getting into the space, this is the same advice I would give somebody if they're getting into comics or writing comedy or whatever. You should produce only as quickly as you can produce something that's quality. You know, everything you put out should be the best thing that you can do. So however long it takes to do something that's high quality, that's I think your schedule, and especially in this new medium, you're going to want to always be innovating and trying something new and what have you. So that coming up with an idea that's solid, that can take a lot of time in and of itself, because you can't just keep putting out the same piece with the same 3 techniques or what have you, especially now when it's so new. So however long it takes you to do something that's high quality, that you feel is going to make a connection, has a unique voice, and is attempting something new, that's your schedule. If you can do that once a day or once a month or twice a year, the quality of your work is what you're going to live and die by, more so than I think your schedule.
Yeah, I wish I could do once a day, but that's a great advice. Thank you.
Awesome. Reinhard?
I agree with all these things that were said, and particularly the quality. I mean, I work very slow because I do a lot of research, and I work a lot on an almost finished piece, fine tuning it and all of that. So my schedule is rather slow, rather limited. But there is a parallel to traditional art again. I mean, like Skeenee said, you have the 1/1s and you have the larger editions. So it's like creating that one oil painting, that you spend, I don't know, 5 months on, and you have to find someone who has the funds to buy such a piece. But then you have people who just don't have the money, but they also want to own your art. So you make prints. I mean, printmaking's been around for a few hundred years. So it's something that allows more people to own a piece that they would really like to get. And I also we got these questions ahead of time, and I saw that you were wondering how it is when you make a physical copy, right? So I have seen artists who make this deliberately. They create an original and an NFT together, and that could be something very special because not everybody does it, or not everybody can do it. So if you are in a position to do that, this combination of the traditional piece together with the NFT could be something very, very special. And the last thing, when I read the question, it sounded to me like, how different do two pieces have to be? And I remember there's been a discussion quite some time ago when someone made just the same piece, different colors. So some people said, well, it's different because the colors are different. And then someone else said it's the same piece. They just, ran a filter and the colors are different. So I think this is a decision you have to make for yourself. If you want to, how should I say? You have to build a good relationship with the people who love your art. And by using cheap tricks, you're just alienating them. You're more or less cheating, and it's not well perceived. So if you just want to make a quick appearance, take the money and run, it's one thing. But if you want to stick around and have, build friendships and strong connections, then you have to consider what you're doing. And like Arsenic said, just really put the quality in your work, and then quality always prevails.
Thank you very much. Yes, definitely. What's up?
Can I add something about NFT combined with art? Because I think there's a huge market for this right now, and that's completely untapped. Like, one thing some of my pieces that sell the best are ink painting that I animate and that I sell with the actual physical piece. And if you want to push it even further, you can upgrade your physical piece with the NFT in augmented reality, and people love that. So if you can actually produce a physical piece and animate them digitally, I think it's really, really untapped market.
I am a huge fan of AR. A huge fan.
Me too, man.
All right, Carguin or Yuki, do you have any further questions? If not, I have some questions that I think people watching and recording would appreciate, but I'll definitely give you the floor first. If someone in the NFT space also has something that you wish you can tell yourself before entering the space, what would that be? You can kind of lead with that as well.
Yeah, I think thank you guys so much for the answers, and I feel like it's just really refreshing to hear how digital art can be done so differently than what I'm used to, at least. I think I'm more used to just not ever really signing my work, because all the work that I do is more for clients, and it's like at the end of the day, the work is not mine anymore, and so this just provides like me a way of even thinking about how I can do art differently. That's more even personally important to me. So I guess I'm also curious how I know that you guys you have a kind of an interval that you guys produce your art, but how consistent and how often, how much do you engage sort of with your audience in order to, do you guys do this time, or like what is it like life? What is life like for you guys?
Yiying Liu, do you want to tackle that? Because community is a big topic, and it's something it's becoming more and more important every day. How do you cultivate that as well? Everything seems to be a tight balance, but you can have fun with it. Tell us a little bit about your experience.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You throw that ball to me because I gotta be honest with you. I mean, everybody here probably do it sort of in some sort of structure, and I have absolute zero structure because the last time I did it, it was absolutely hilarious because the way that I approach a lot of work, I'm very intuitive. So I made this one on I made this piece on the World Whale Shark Day. I had no idea whale shark, like literally this whole community was formed by Whale Shark at Whale Shark Pro on Twitter. So I made this piece, and I got connected with the founder of OpenSea, Alex, and he's like, he's seeing this piece. He's like, do you know whale shark? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like Pacific whale shark in the Pacific Ocean? He's like, no, whale shark on Twitter. I was like, okay. I mean, and then I got into the community about eight months ago, and it's literally a rabbit hole. And so I did my first NFT launch on Nifty Gateway because it was just a right time, and I was like, all right, let's do it. And then the next thing you know, I've been doing a lot of other things for the next 5 months. Actually, I was doing not NFT related, but using art as a vehicle to help people with mental health. So I was like, when am I going to do the next NFT? Give me a sign, universe. And then, I mean, the whale community moderator all know the story. So Anissa, who's one of the whale community lead, she contacted me in the beginning of May, and she's like, Yiying, I also did a piece at the Christmas to give back to the whale community as a Christmas gift, because I feel like a lot of times I was just being called by the community. And I feel like a lot of times as artists, we're not living on a tight schedule, like we have to produce every month or anything. Inspiration come to us. It's a co-working. It's almost like you're co-working with the universe. I'm getting a little bit woo-woo here, but you're kind of co-working with, the spirit in some way. So for me, it just feels right whenever it really feels right. It feels right. I feel motivated. I did this piece on the day of the
anniversary,
World Whale Shark Day. It wasn't something planned. It was a Sunday. I was on a phone call, and we just like inspiration came to me, and I feel like I'm catching a butterfly. I was like, I gotta do this. And so on the release day, it's the same thing. I mean, all the whale community moderator know this. We couldn't even tell the community we're gonna do the release on the 18th of May because that's Whale Shark's birthday. So we're like, hush, hush. And it took me literally about 2 weeks to put all the pieces together. And it was something that I think was a crazy schedule, and yet it worked out because I really just want to do it as like a celebration of the whale community. So a lot of times I think that, because this is such a new platform, and at the same time you have all the people sort of having your back and sort of looking forward to see something. And I do a lot of pieces for events. I do a lot of pieces because there is audience anticipating for something to be dropped. And so that kind of is the way that I work. And I'm sure that other people will probably work differently. They might want to have a more structure around, their job dates. And I think it's good because in that way you also become more periodically productive. It really kind of similar to all the artists has said before. It's really like how you feel and you kind of connect with your inner guides. I think that's just how, from my perspective, I hope that helps.
Thank you. Definitely. It's a more lax approach of our approaching community, because you interact so much with the whale community that it's kind of your community as well. So that's a little bit different than someone else, having that is always interacting on their own Twitter and like keeping people updated on that front. So you save yourself, I'm sure, quite a lot of time. Versus someone that's always engaging, but it's just a different feel. Which one of you NFT artists kind of feels like they have a deep connection with their Twitter community, with their Discord community? Anyone? Skeenee, I see you.
Yeah, I'll go, man.
Yeah, tell us a little about yeah.
It's a tricky balance, man. It's like, all right, so before going into NFTs and when I was into traditional art, I was just creating. And of course I wasn't selling anything. Then one of my mentors told me, well, just took me aside. It's like, what the hell are you doing, man? You're never going to sell anything if nobody sees your art. And he advised me to dedicate 30% of my time just to communicate, promote, and create connection with people, and the rest to produce. And that's to me, it's the ideal ratio. That's the ratio that I try to maintain: 30% connection, 70% just production. But it's so difficult when you start involving yourself with Twitter, social media. And I had a great idea to create a Discord and build a community around that. And yeah, it's just got a tendency to vampirize all your time. So if you're not careful enough, you're gonna end up like 80% of your time on social media, and you're gonna have nothing left to create. That's what happened to me at the end of last year, and I had to really just reassess things. And now I try to really structure my time. I'm a very chaotic person, but in order for me to continue creating properly, I really have to assign like 2 hours a day to do this, and then you create. Just only use social media and Discord for this amount of time, and then just disconnect. No more notification, nothing, or else it's simply impossible to work. So I'd say on that level, I think it's super important to market yourself and communicate with your community, but you really have to be careful. And on that level, you need to structure your time, or you're gonna get completely swallowed by this.
It is a tough line of staying creative and then staying active. And people notice when if you're doing too much, you're doing too little. It's but again, you just have to remain true to yourself. George, how is that? Have you found?
Yeah, wake up, George.
Yeah. It can be a little tough to juggle all these things together, both creation and communication, but you must learn the tools, like Discord and Twitter. I didn't know them both and had to learn them from the start. And you have to have the connection with other artists to see what they are doing. Sometimes people want to help them with something, newcomers most of the time. So you can, or there is a project that you must get involved. So it's really a lot of time, and I don't know. I haven't found the balance yet, like Skeenee. So I spend a lot of time. Yeah.
Awesome. I've been waiting outside your house for an autograph, so I know that you should pay attention more to your community, George. I've been out here for days.
I'm sorry.
Oh man. Okay, this is more of a broader question for anyone out there in the metaverse. How did you guys decide on what platform to mint on, or if you mint on multiple, how do you assign different artworks to different people, different platforms? Reinhard, we can go with you.
Very difficult because, like I said, I don't have a lot of people, a lot of pieces that I'm making. So I have a preference for Maker's Place because that was my entry point into the space. Like I said, I was one of the first artists there, and I had a very good connection with them, particularly in the beginning. You could still talk to Danny and to Rioma, and so I think I also have my biggest collector base there. That's why I mint most of my pieces there. And then next would be Art for Whale. It's really a great place to be, and being part of this community. So that would be the other platform where I like to publish new pieces. And on Super Rare, I have more of my experimental pieces, something that I want to try, something that is not necessarily immediately recognizable, maybe. Or in the beginning, I experimented with my Smackman series. I mean, most of you have seen my avatar, so I call this Face the Smackman, and I played with that. I animated it in different variations. So these things I put on Super Rare, for instance, and so and I just started to build a collection on OpenSea where I want to experiment even more with. I mean, you see all this great artwork everywhere, and everything you see inspires you, and you're like, oh yes, I want to try that too. And then you're like, well, but then people will say he lost his mind. Well, what is he doing? So, or they simply don't recognize it, whatever. So I put those in different collections or different spaces. So, but like I said, my main focus is Maker's Place and Art for Whale.
It's really cool to see different personas of an artist kind of emerge on different platforms. It's kind of like they're curating your own work. Like, all right, I'm gonna separate this one over here. Arsenic Lullaby, how about you?
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat as Reinhard because I don't work very quickly. Like, I'll have an idea. Like the last piece I did for Whale, that was about 40, 50, 60 man hours I put into that. So I'm on Maker's Place, and I basically stick to that because that's where a lot of my followers are, and you want to put things out fairly consistently. You don't want to have a platform where nobody's seen you put something up for 6-8 months. So I just sort of picked that one. I did well on there. I built up a lot of followers fairly quickly, and I just I'm sticking with what works at that point. There's a lot of platforms popping up, and they're probably all fairly equal when it comes right down to it. So then it comes down to your work has to speak for itself. And then going back to the social media thing, that is a very useful tool. So ultimately, the more you can promote yourself on that and get people interested and give them little peeks here and there, if they can find you there, then you can send them to whatever platform you're on. So you don't really have to worry so much about, should I be here, there, or there? As long as people are finding your work on your social media, you can then direct them wherever you want. And you don't have to worry as much about the ever-changing landscape of what particular platform is hot right now. You just make yourself hot, and the rest will take care of itself, theoretically.
Beautiful. I like that advice. Thank you very much for that insight. I hope it helps someone that's thinking of, oh my God, where should my first platform be? So boom, some good insight. We have another question regarding DeFi and NFT art. There's a lot of stuff happening with DeFi in general. It's kind of the topic of the moment. We had the NFT boom. Now we see DeFi kind of taking the front seat in the blockchain space. And maybe, again, the Skeenee, you're probably at the crossroad of what that means, because you have your own social token that's kind of connected to art, your art and your pieces and your collectors. What else do you see maybe emerging from DeFi and art?
I don't know. It's hard to tell, man. Like with I think it's an awesome way for artists to strengthen the community and to give the opportunity to people to well, it's kind of, they're betting on your artistic future in a way, and I see this being used more and more. But yeah, again, I'm on the experimental level on this, so I don't know. I don't know if I can give advice, but yeah, again, it's I think it's a super strong tool, but the issue with it is just it's a time sink again. Cause and then well, I'm starting to speak Spanish here. It's like before getting into this, like people really need to think twice about how they want to spend their time, because it's. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I've been working so much with community building and building my social token that I almost burned out last year because I was doing. My mind was everywhere, and now I'm trying to prioritize things. I think it's the biggest challenge with anything to do with NFT, DeFi, and social token is time management. And if you have a family on top of that, it becomes really, really tricky.
Yeah.
So yeah, be careful.
Yeah. As an artist, you kind of just you become a new thing. NFT artists, it's different than artists because you have to know things like DeFi and you have to know things like what platform, and so there is no difference in the level of creativity, but the amount of things that you have to do that is different than traditional art is, we can't deny that, right? You cannot deny that at all.
I think there's such a huge potential for experimentation that you feel tempted to try so many things and to merge so many things in your art. That's what I love about crypto art, but that's also it was tricky to manage because you feel tempted to do so many things that it ends up just sucking all your time. So be careful what you focus on.
The whole medium, for me, it was almost like a bait and switch because I was independently publishing a comic book, which meant, I had to be the illustrator and writer. But then I also had to deal with the advertising. I had to contact printers. I had to contact distributors and stores and whatnot. And then I got involved in NFTs. Like, all I have to do is make this thing and mint it on this platform and boom, I'm done. Nope. Nope. I still have 6 jobs. I got to mint it. I have to talk to the platforms. I have to network. I have to be part of the community. And it's all fun, but it's like Skeenee said, it's a balance of time. And if you start using this tool too much, pretty soon you've forgotten all about this tool. And it's a hell of a balancing act that I haven't figured out yet.
It's like you're balancing plates, you're just like
but all the
tricky business.
Next thing you know, it's Thursday. Oh no!
Every week there's a taste of your plate that you also want to hold.
Yeah, right. Then you see somebody else doing something else. Oh, what's that? And then all the plates crash.
But no, it's definitely a balance. I think the interesting thing out of DeFi that just means decentralized finance for anyone out there listening that wanted to know. There's certain things like you can store value in a painting and that'll accrue interest. That's throughout as time goes on through different like lending mechanisms. That's something that is a little bit more in depth that you start to learn once you've been, DeFiing it up for a certain amount of time. And it seems like people are really liking that idea to kind of give further value to painting and art. But not to jump the gun, but I'm excited for everyone to learn about stuff like that and what that means and how to couple, the economic freedom with art at the same time. Like I know that we're about to have our minds blown by certain people. Is there any questions, Carguin or Yuki, that you think that we should get to before we kind of close off? I think we're going to need a part 2 because there's just too much info that we want to get to, and I can see everyone. I can almost feel the energy. Like I want to say the thing, but if there's a pressing question, please let us know.
I'm okay for now. This is great. It's giving me a lot of ideas now.
yeah, and I want to say too, it's that like it's so good to be able to meet you guys because it's good to see like you guys are being the feeling that I get is like just your authentic artist self, and it's I think what you guys are sharing here is it sounds to me it's more about being yourself and do the things that is right for you and what you love. I think I had an image of like the fine art world before, where I have a friend. I don't know if he still does traditional like art gallery work anymore, but for a long time he would say he had to only paint what sells and not what really. I'm sure it's a balancing act, but I felt like the fine art world has a lot of it. But I think it's really nice to be able to see that you guys are thriving, and like it's a very lively spirit that I'm feeling from you all. So yeah, I think I don't have any more questions, but I'm just really thankful to hear these replies from you guys today. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to add something about the DeFi and NFT thing. Actually, I'm not sure if Ethereum has this part, but like on Binance Smart Chain, right now, you can put your NFTs and buy liquid LPs. So you can stake your NFTs. And you can gain the token, like you can do it with Skeenee's token, actually. Like Skeenee will make a collectible of 100 pieces. So you'll buy 5, I'll buy 10, and we'll just put the LP and we'll gain Skeenee token. Actually, this is right now happening. Like Baker's Swap does it. I don't know if we can hear names here, but since it's Binance Smart Chain. But like right now, they're making, and it's gonna be huge on Bakery Swap, and I think Cafe Swap is about to make it. But so Baker Swap is moving too fast on this, and they just made some kind of crypto dogs, and you put your dogs and get a bake, like you put bake and the dog NFTs, and depending on the NFT amount and bake amount, you get the LP, and you stake bake or dog token. Actually, it's confusing, but it's really simple. And right now, my friend is doing it for a project of his, so I'm getting to know it a little bit better. So, like, you can, if anyone is interested, you can ask me in 10 days. I'll have more technical details. Actually, it's really cool. It's really cool. Skeenee, you should do that.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. More thing that's going to steal my time. I don't have any more time.
No, it's so easy because you make the collectible and they make the pool. Like, you just integrate your collection to them, but you have to right now you have to make the bridge to Binance Smart Chain because I don't think that Ethereum.
I'm not a fan of Binance though, but it's a great idea. That's the thing. I love it.
They just have it right now. Maybe Ethereum has those, but I don't know.
I'm gonna research it.
Yeah, tell me if you find one.
There's for anyone watching, and even for you two new artists here, the rabbit hole obviously can get very, very deep. There's so many cool things about the blockchain that it can do, and now, like Sturec was saying, with art, there's terminology that obviously must be incorporated into your day-to-day lexicon, because to absorb it all in one shot is too much. But there's all kinds of stuff, like you said, Carguin. It's nothing but love. The community's huge, and we're always here to learn from each other. If you want to learn what changing your art to dog token to this and this and that, just stick around 2 weeks and you'll be a pro. And we hope to do this again very, very soon. If anyone has any parting words, please let me know, or say it out to the group. If not, we can all convene in the chat, but I appreciate every one of you taking out the time to do this for us, and for anyone watching the recording. I hope it was informative. If you like this, let us know. We'll try to get a panel of this sorts together again, because it does help new artists kind of not be as afraid to enter the space. Is a very welcoming environment. Again, thank you for being here.
Thank you. You're all lovely people.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you. Thanks for having me on. This is fun.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll do it again soon. I appreciate you waking up.
Great meeting you all.
Bye bye for now. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.